Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. I pushed my bedroom door open and heard my sister laugh. I'm Nate, 26, and this is the night everything cracked. If I had stopped at the hallway, I might have stayed stupid. Instead, I stepped in and both of them snapped toward me. My girlfriend sat cross-legged near the headboard, staring right at me. My sister was on her lap, hands on my girlfriend's shoulders. They were way too close, faces inches apart like I caught mid-kiss. No one talked for a second and my ears rang with pure panic. My sister slid off her like she touched a burner and misjudged the heat. My girlfriend grabbed the blanket like it could turn into a shield. "Hey, you are home early," she started and her voice sounded too bright. I could not answer because my brain stalled on my sister's heavy breathing. "Relax, it is not what you think," my sister lifted both hands up. She tried to laugh again, but it came out thin and shaky. My girlfriend looked between us like a referee who did not want this game. I knew I should say something calm, but my throat felt packed. "What exactly am I thinking?" My voice cracked harder than I liked. I stared at my girlfriend and then at my sister's flushed cheeks. They both started talking at once about jokes and dares and boredom. It sounded like a rehearsed skit where they forgot half the lines. Sasha was just messing around, my girlfriend tugged at her shirt hem. We got stupid and I sat down so she climbed on me. It was nothing at all really, just dumb energy. My sister nodded too fast, still not meeting my eyes for longer than a blink. I watched the space between them instead of their faces because it felt safer. You know that feeling when your body moves but your brain stays behind. I stepped closer to the bed, trying to read anything real on them. My girlfriend reached for my hand like she could anchor me back. My sister shifted sideways on the mattress, her knee bumping my girlfriend's hip. "If it was nothing, why were you sitting like that?" I heard myself ask. My voice sounded like someone else, tight and flattened by jealousy. We were scrolling through stupid videos and dared each other to copy one. My girlfriend held my wrist, thumb rubbing small circles I usually liked. My sister finally looked straight at me, eyes wet but still defensive. "Dudes, you walk in and act like we were cheating on you." The word hit me weird because only one person there could cheat on me. The other one was supposed to love me as family, not be a threat. Now I am writing this and I know I went straight for the worst story. Back then my logic was just red alarm, one long blaring note. I saw my girlfriend's hands on my sister's waist when I came in. I heard that nervous laugh and I built a whole betrayal in seconds. "I am not saying you were cheating," I lied. That was exactly it and I knew it when I said it. I dragged a chair closer and sat down like I planned an interrogation. Both of them watched me like I was the explosion they were bracing for. My chest hurt and I could not tell if I wanted answers or denial. My girlfriend leaned toward me with her elbows on her knees and her eyes wide and pleading. "Look at me right now, this was a dumb joke that went too far." She kept her voice low and steady like she was talking to a scared kid. It almost worked until my sister glanced at her mouth instead of her eyes. I caught that tiny move and it lodged in my head like a nail. She jerked her gaze back to me and forced another little smile. "You know I clown around like this all the time, I am extra." She tossed her hair off her shoulder and bumped my girlfriend with her arm. My girlfriend flinched just enough for me to see, then disguised it as a shrug. Maybe no one else would have clocked it, but I watch people too closely. That night I felt like I sat front row at a play with bad acting. Every twitch looked loaded, every pause sounded like someone hiding a line. If this is all a joke, why do I feel like the punchline? It slipped out before I edited it, bitter and smaller than my anger. My girlfriend dropped my wrist and leaned back like the words pushed her. My sister stopped moving completely, finally still for the first time since I entered. "We did not mean to make you feel like that," my girlfriend said softly. She shook her head once, her jaw tight like she was angry at herself now. The problem was I could not tell which part bothered her most. Getting caught or hurting me or something else I did not want to name. My sister reached toward me, then pulled her hand back halfway and clenched it. "Can you just believe me this one time? We were idiots together and we did not think straight. That is it and that is all I can say." Her voice cracked on the last word and she scrubbed her face hard. I watched her and thought that if this is nothing, then why does it look like a confession? I wish I could say I walked away to cool down. I stayed planted in that air drilling holes into the carpet instead. My head ran through images I did not want, them alone on this bed. My girlfriend laughing into my sister's neck while I sat somewhere else clueless. Okay then, I believe you on this. I heard myself rush the words out. The room felt lighter for them the second I said it out loud. Both of them relaxed a little, their shoulders dropping and their breaths less choppy than before. Inside nothing loosened and it only settled deeper, heavy and sharp and waiting. That was the first time I seriously wondered if my sister liked girls. I did not say it then and the thought felt radioactive in my mouth. I kept that sentence locked behind my teeth while they changed the subject clumsily. Looking back, that silence was the real start and not the moment I opened the door. My sister hooked her arm through my girlfriend's before I could. We were heading out the door and she got there first. She pressed in close, shoulder to shoulder, laughing at something tiny. I walked behind them and watched my own place get taken. You know that weird sting when someone beats you to your person? I told myself not to make it a thing after the bedroom scene. Still, I reached forward and brushed my fingers over my girlfriend's back. She glanced at me, then leaned closer to my sister instead. Switch with me, I tried to keep it light, almost joking. My sister glanced over her shoulder, eyebrows up like I was unreasonable. Relax, we are just walking outside. She squeezed my girlfriend's arm tighter. My girlfriend stayed quiet and let herself get steered toward the car. That silence bothered me more than any dumb comment they could have thrown. If she truly thought nothing was weird, she would have teased me. Instead, she stared at the driveway like it suddenly needed deep focus. Back then, I logged that moment and pretended I did not. At the diner, my sister slid into the booth next to her again. I ended up across from them, third wheel at my own table. My sister nudged her with her shoulder after every joke, every story. Their heads leaned together when they checked something on my girlfriend's phone. Trade places for a second, I tapped the seat beside me. My sister looked up with a mouthful of fries and shook her head. We are good here, you can see us just fine from there. My girlfriend laughed a little too loud and brushed crumbs off her shirt. Is this payback for walking in earlier? I tried to sound playful. Both of them froze for just a heartbeat, then moved at the same time. My girlfriend kicked my foot under the table and smiled too wide. My sister reached for the ketchup like the question never landed at all. Looking back, that tiny pause was louder than anything they said. In the moment, I called myself dramatic and shoved another bite down. I watched my sister tear off a piece of napkin and twist it. Every time my girlfriend spoke, my sister's eyes went straight to her mouth. That week the touching ramped up, at least that is how it felt. If my girlfriend stood at the counter, my sister hugged her from behind. If they watched videos, my sister leaned her head against my girlfriend's shoulder. I kept walking into rooms and finding them already inside each other's space. Do you have to cling to her constantly? It slipped out one evening. They were on the couch, legs tangled while scrolling through something muted. My sister didn't move, just looked back at me with a slow smirk. Jealous much, she tilted her head and rested her cheek on my girlfriend's arm. My girlfriend shifted like she might sit up, then settled right back. You know she jokes around. She gave me this warning look over my sister. That look said, drop it, do not ruin the mood, let this go. I laughed once, short and sharp, because I did not know where I fit. Later that night, when my girlfriend brushed her teeth, I tried again. You really do not think it's strange how close you two are now? She wiped her mouth and leaned on the doorframe, arms folded tight. We bonded a little more, is that illegal now? Her tone stung more than the words, almost bored, almost annoyed. You were practically in each other's laps all day, my voice came out rough. She rolled her eyes and pushed off the frame like she was done already. If you keep acting like this, you are going to create the problem. That line still echoes when I think about it now. Back then it knocked the wind out of me in one quick hit. Suddenly I was the unstable one, the one breaking something fragile. So I swallowed the rest and told her I was just tired. I wish I could say I let it go after that, I did not. I started clocking every little thing and the list got longer. The way my sister's hand stayed on her lower back when she walked past. The way my girlfriend's laugh changed when it was only the two of them. One afternoon I came home and heard videos playing from the living room. I walked in and they air side by side, practically sharing one cushion. My sister had her arm draped across the back behind my girlfriend's neck. Their heads were so close that my girlfriend's hair brushed my sister's chin. Move over, I want in on this. I dropped onto the other side. My girlfriend shifted half an inch, my sister did not budge at all. The gap left for me felt small and awkward and obviously forced. I pressed in anyway and felt my sister's knee stay against my girlfriend's thigh. Can you not sit on top of her? It came out sharper than I planned. My sister glanced at the screen, then at me, brows raised again. If she had a problem, she would move. She nudged my girlfriend lightly. My girlfriend kept her eyes forward and pretended to adjust the volume. Now from this distance, I see how many chances I had to walk away. In that moment, I doubled down instead and tried to be chill. I wrapped my arm around my girlfriend and pulled her closer to my side. My sister watched that move with this tight little smile I still hate. The phone thing started small, just flickers I almost missed. Notifications from my sister popped up more often, then vanished off the screen fast. My girlfriend's thumb hovered a second longer whenever my sister's name appeared. Sometimes she turned the phone over when I sat next to her. I told myself it was nothing, then counted every time it happened. One night she jumped when a message came through while we watched a show. The preview flashed my sister's contact picture and half a sentence. My girlfriend cleared it before the rest could load and laughed too loudly. What was that? I kept my tone casual, eyes on the TV. Memes, she tossed the phone aside and leaned against me like a shield. My chest tightened anyway because memes do not usually arrive at midnight. I did not push, I just felt the question sink deeper and heavier. The turning point was stupid and quiet, like most real shifts are. She went to shower and left her phone charging on the dresser. I was getting ready for bed and tried not to look at it. The screen lit up once, flashed my sister's name, then went dark again. You ever feel your common sense pack a bag and leave? I stared at that rectangle like it was daring me to touch it. I knew her passcode because she typed it in front of me for months. My fingers moved before the reasonable part of my brain could yell stop. The lock screen disappeared and her messages list popped up in one swipe. My pulse hammered in my ears so hard that everything else went fuzzy. I scrolled until I hit my sister's contact and tapped it open. The thread looked clean, almost too clean, like someone wiped down every surface. Old dates were there, but huge spaces sat where conversations should be. Timestamps jumped from morning to 3 days later with nothing between them. Whole chunks were missing, like pieces sliced out with careful hands. My stomach flipped because I knew how my girlfriend usually hoarded every chat. I checked other threads fast, fingers clumsy, trying not to lose track of time. Messages with friends and coworkers stretched back for months with zero gaps. Jokes, arguments, random updates, everything sat there untouched and familiar. Only the thread with my sister had those neat empty sections carved out. The shower shut off and the pipes rattled through the wall behind me. Water slowed, then stopped completely, and the silence slammed into my nerves. I backed out of her messages and locked the phone with shaking hands. My reflection in the dark screen looked like someone who already knew too much. I slid into bed before she opened the door, heart racing like I ran. She climbed in beside me, damp hair on the pillow, phone within reach. She curled into my chest and whispered that she loved me, voice soft. I stared at the ceiling and counted the missing messages between them instead. I blocked her way in the kitchen and grabbed the fridge door. She tried to slip past with a lame smile like nothing was wrong. My heart was already pounding from the second I walked in there. We need to talk about you and my girlfriend right now. Her hand froze on the drawer handle and she let out a short laugh. Wow, coming in hot today, she drummed her fingers on the counter. I did not move and she finally looked straight at me, eyes tight. You keep hanging on her like you are the one dating her. That wiped the humor off her face faster than anything else so far. Seriously, you are starting with that again, she crossed her arms hard. I watched her jaw flex as she stared at the floor between us. She is comfortable with me, you are the only one freaking out. Comfortable people do not delete half their conversations, the words slipped out fast. Her head snapped up and for 1 second she stopped breathing, I swear. I knew I had stepped over a line by even hinting at that. Still, I could not drag the sentence back into my mouth anymore. What did you just say? Her voice dropped low and sharp enough to sting. I shrugged like it was nothing, like I had not just exposed myself. I notice when things change, you two are glued together and hiding stuff. I leaned closer and my hand was shaking on the fridge handle. You went through her phone, she did not shout, which somehow felt worse. She pressed her palm over her mouth, then dragged it down slowly. Do you hear yourself right now? That is not normal relationship behavior. I felt my face burn, but the anger still sat there, stubborn and ugly. Normal couples do not act like this either. My voice cracked on the last word. You do not touch your brother's girlfriend like she is yours. That finally hit something because she straightened and her eyes went glassy. You think I am trying to steal her from you, really? I should have softened there and I did not. Tell me I am wrong, look me in the face and tell me I am just paranoid. She opened her mouth, shut it once, then leaned back against the counter. She likes you, she talks about you nonstop when you are not around. That is not an answer. I stepped closer and lowered my voice. Do you have a crush on her or not? The word hung there. She stared at me like I had slapped her, then let out a shaky breath. You are out of your mind if you think I want your girlfriend. I should have left it there, but my brain kept pushing. Then who do you want? My chest hurt as I threw that out. Her eyes flickered away toward the hallway like someone might appear there. Nobody, it is not about that, you would not get it anyway. That line landed harder than any insult she could have used. Try me, my voice dropped even lower, more tired than angry now. If something is going on, I would rather hear it from you. I could feel the floor tilting under this conversation and I kept going. She rubbed her wrist, lips pressed together like she held something back. I am not talking about this with you while you are in attack mode. She pushed off the counter and took a step sideways toward the doorway. For the record, you are making her nervous. She feels watched all the time. That one dug in deep because it sounded way too believable. I pictured my girlfriend checking her phone, turning it face down near me. She feels cornered because you act like a jealous partner around both of us. My sister's words hit one after another, and I had no shield ready. So what? I am just the crazy one in this story. My voice came out rough. She exhaled hard, like this whole thing exhausted her more than it hurt. I think you are scared of losing her, and you are trying to control anything that might take her away. She opened a cabinet, then slammed it shut again without grabbing a single thing. Not gonna lie, that one landed closer to home than I wanted. Still, the picture of them tangled on the bed would not leave my head. Scared or not, I'm not imagining how you touch her. Her shoulders sagged for a second, then she straightened like she put armor back on. Believe what you want, she brushed past me, shoulder bumping my arm deliberately. Just do not drag me into your relationship issues to make yourself feel better. She walked out without looking back, leaving the door swinging behind her. I stayed in that kitchen with my pulse screaming and zero trust left. That was the moment I decided I needed a neutral jury. Not friends, not family, just strangers with no stake in our mess. I went to my room, shut the door, and opened my laptop fast. If I had known how much that would blow up, I might have stopped. I pulled up a relationship forum and started typing like I was on autopilot. Title first, something dramatic enough to get eyes but still honest enough. Thought my sister was into girls and now she keeps flirting with my girlfriend. Even writing that made me feel like the villain, but I posted anyway. I laid out the scenes, the touching, the way they pulled back when I entered. I mentioned the messages without saying how I saw them, just that they vanished. I even wrote about the kitchen fight, trying to sound balanced and calm. Reading it back, I sounded a lot more controlled on the screen than in real life. Then the comments started rolling in and my stomach dropped on the first one. Why are you snooping through her stuff? That is a huge breach of trust. Another person wrote that I sounded possessive and needed therapy instead of Reddit. Under that, someone else swore my sister was obviously queer and terrified to admit it. The conflict in there was brutal, like watching strangers shred my personality in real time. Some people called my girlfriend shady for letting the touching keep happening. Others told me this was normal affection and that I had issues with intimacy. One person wrote that I was using my sister as a scapegoat for my own insecurity. Honestly, I ping-ponged between wanting to close the page and needing more. Every comment that agreed with me felt like a hit of oxygen in my lungs. Every one that tore into me felt like a punch I pretended did not hurt. I scrolled for way too long, trying to find a version of the truth that did not make me the problem. Then I hit one response that has stuck with me since that night. You might be right about them crossing lines, but you sound so focused on ownership that you are missing the bigger story. They asked if my sister even felt safe talking about who she liked around us. I stared at that question and realized I had never once asked her that directly. I left the tab open, mind buzzing, and forced myself out of the room. Voices drifted down the hallway low and quick, both of them tucked away somewhere. I slowed my steps and heard my own name, then everything went sharp inside my chest. I edged closer to the door that was cracked just enough for sound. He posted about it, that was my girlfriend, voice strained and whisper thin. I recognized the details, he thinks I did not see it, but I did. My sister muttered something I could not catch, then one word came out clear. The way she said it made my skin crawl, like there was a secret packed inside that single sound. She is going to know eventually, my girlfriend breathed, too low for anyone but my sister. If he keeps pushing, it is all going to come out anyway. My sister groaned softly, then said she was not ready for that conversation yet. I stood in the hallway, every muscle locked, wondering who that she really was. Her door cracked open and my girlfriend slipped out, fixing her shirt. Her hair was messy, cheeks flushed, and she froze when she saw me. Behind her, my sister's voice floated out, low and breathless and annoyed. Something in my head snapped and everything went very, very sharp. Go back inside, my voice came out flat and loud at the same time. My girlfriend blinked twice, then reached for my arm like she could redirect me. It is not what you think, she started, already too late. I brushed past her and pushed the door fully open with my palm. My sister stood near the bed, lipstick smudged halfway off her mouth. Her eyes went wide when I walked in, then darted to my girlfriend. The room felt hot, air thick with that just interrupted energy. I saw the space between them and it felt way too small. What were you doing in here with her with the door closed? My voice climbed on its own, each word louder than the last one. My sister grabbed a tissue and scrubbed at her lips in hard circles. Calm down, you're overreacting again, she muttered, voice shaky as hell. I pointed toward the doorway without looking away from my sister's face. She walks out looking like that and you want me relaxed. My girlfriend stepped beside me, hands half raised like she could break the fight. Nate, listen, we were just talking, it got emotional, that is all. Talking makes your lipstick disappear now, I laughed once, sharp and ugly. My sister flinched at the sound, then threw the tissue onto the dresser. You are being insane right now, she snapped, shoulders pulled tight against her ears. We were having a private conversation which we are allowed to have. Private, that word punched through whatever patience I had left. Private like you sitting on her in my room, private like hiding messages, private like sneaking around behind my back, which part should I be okay with? My girlfriend's jaw clenched and she shut her eyes for a second. Stop twisting everything into cheating, you are not even listening. I walk in and you are leaving her bedroom at night. I jabbed a finger toward the carpet between them like it held evidence. Her makeup is wrecked, you are both flushed and you want me chill. My heart hurt so bad it felt physical, not just emotional noise. My sister's eyes suddenly filled and she blinked fast, refusing to let them fall. We did not hook up, okay, we did not do that, you need to stop saying it like that. She paced once near the end of the bed, hands tangled in her hair. My brain caught on the one thing she did not deny, wanting her. You are into girls, the words flew out before I could test them. The room went silent so fast my ears actually rang a little. My girlfriend sucked in a breath and my sister just stared at me. I knew I crossed a huge line and still kept going anyway. All this time you hanging off her, you looking at her like that. I turned toward my girlfriend and heard myself break open. You could have told me if this was happening, you both could. My voice cracked on that last word and I hated how small it sounded. My sister shook her head hard, tears finally spilling down her face. You do not get to out me because you are jealous. She pointed at my chest, hand trembling, breathing all over the place. This is not about you, this is not your story to scream. It became my story, the sequel. ND, you climbed onto my relationship. I know how bad that line sounds now, I was not reasonable then. Footsteps thudded down the hallway and a deeper voice cut through our shouting. What is going on in here? My dad filled the doorway, brows pulled together. No one spoke for a moment and the silence made everything worse. My girlfriend wiped under her eyes, my sister turned away toward the wall. He thinks I am trying to steal his girlfriend, she burst out suddenly. The word steal hung in the air like something poisonous and heavy. My dad's gaze flicked from her face to mine, then to my girlfriend. Is someone going to explain this, or do I need to start guessing? His voice was low, not loud, which always meant real trouble. I felt 12 again and still did not back down from my position. They are always together, I started, words tumbling over each other fast. She sits on her, holds her, hides messages, and now this. I gestured wildly between the two of them, pulse hammering in my throat. I am not crazy for thinking something is going on here. My girlfriend finally snapped and stepped out from behind me. You do not own me, she threw out, eyes wet and furious. I am allowed to talk to your sister without being treated like property. Her hands shook as she shoved her hair back from her face. My dad raised a hand toward me, eyes locked on mine. You went through her phone, did you? His voice cut clean through everything. It was not a question, and I still froze like it was. The heat that hit my neck told him the answer before I spoke. I opened my mouth, then closed it, then forced the words out anyway. I checked because things did not add up anymore, and I was right. My girlfriend let out this raw sound, half laugh, half broken. You violated my privacy to feed your paranoia, do you hear yourself? Here is the part I wish I could erase, but it happened. I pointed straight at my sister, hand shaking so hard it hurt. She is into girls, okay, and she has been all over my girlfriend for weeks. I did not just out her, I weaponized it, and I know that now. My dad swore under his breath, face going pale then red. My sister covered her mouth, shoulders curled and like she wanted to disappear. Is that true? He asked quietly, eyes never leaving her. That quiet broke her more than any shout could have done. She dropped her hands and nodded once, tears streaming without any control. Yeah, she whispered, voice shredded. I like girls, I always have, but not her, not your girlfriend, never her. She looked at me then, hurt and furious, like I had ripped something open. You really think I would use her like that just to hurt you? The room tilted under me because I had not prepared for that answer. My girlfriend stared between us, chest heaving, shock written across her face. You outed her to your dad to win an argument, she said slowly. She backed away like I had become someone dangerous in front of her. I thought you were both lying, I tried, words falling apart mid-sentence. Everything looked wrong, you never explained, I connected what I saw. I sounded weak even to myself, excuses lined up but completely empty. My dad shook his head like he did not recognize any of us. My girlfriend grabbed her bag from the chair by the closet. I cannot do this, she muttered, more to herself than to me. I moved toward her, hands out, desperate to fix something already ruined. Wait, can we just talk without everyone watching, please? She stopped near the doorway, not turning around yet. I trusted you with every part of my life and you spied on me. Her voice broke on that word and she took another step away. You dragged your sister out of the closet in front of your dad to defend your ego. She finally looked at me and the disgust there was brutal. I do not want to be in the middle of this mess anymore. She slung the bag over her shoulder with jerky, frantic movements. We are done, Nate, I am finished being proof of anything for you. I reached for her arm and she pulled back like my touch burned. My dad stepped between us then, one hand up toward each of us. Enough, he said, voice rough, everyone needs space before more damage happens. He did not pick a side and somehow that stung almost as much. My sister sank onto the edge of the bed, hugging her knees tight. She would not look at me, only at the floor near her feet. You turned the worst night of my life into your accusation scene. Her words came out quiet, but they hit harder than every shout earlier. I stood there, watching my girlfriend walk down the hallway toward the front door. Every step she took away from me felt earned and still unbearable. Behind me, my sister started crying again, softer this time, exhausted. That was the night I lost them both in different ways, and I had no idea how bad it would get yet. 3 months later, my phone lit up with her contact again. I was half asleep on the couch, brain fried from everything. The preview only showed 3 words from my sister. Coffee, your call. I stared so long the screen went dark. I unlocked it and read the full thing with my heart pounding. She wrote that she was ready to talk if I could be decent. No more yelling, no more accusations, just an actual conversation. I typed yes 3 times before I finally hit send once. An hour before we were supposed to meet, I sat in therapy. I had started going because the comments online shredded me. Also because my dad basically told me I needed help. The therapist watched me twist my hands while I recapped the blow-up. You outed her to your father during a fight, she said quietly. Hearing it that blunt without emotion made my face burn again. I thought I was protecting my relationship, I muttered, voice thin. Even I heard how weak that sounded in that small office. What are you actually afraid of here? She asked, leaning forward a little. Losing control, being cheated on, or being the bad guy. I laughed once, bitter, because the real answer was all three. The bad guy part hurts the most now, I finally admitted. She nodded slowly and let the silence stretch long enough to itch. What do you want from your sister today? She asked next. I opened my mouth ready to say I wanted explanations. Instead, what came out was, I want a chance to apologize. Then listen more than you argue, she said almost gently. Do not correct her version, even if your pride screams. That line landed deeper than I wanted to admit to anyone. I left with my stomach knotted and my phone buzzing again. My sister texted that she was already at the place we picked. I almost turned the car around twice on the way over. Every red light felt like a chance to bail and stay guilty. I kept going anyway because avoiding her had not helped anything. She was at a small corner table when I walked inside. Hood up, shoulders tight, fingers tapping a restless beat. Her eyes met mine for a second, then dropped to her drink. I hated that I was the reason she looked that guarded. I sat across from her and my chair scraped louder than planned. She flinched at the sound and wrapped both hands around her cup. For a moment, neither of us said anything and the air pulsed. Thanks for meeting me, I managed, voice rougher than I expected. Therapy made you do it, or you came on your own? She looked up again, gaze sharp, searching my face for an excuse. Bit of both, I answered, forcing myself not to look away. I needed someone to point out how far I went. Her mouth twisted like she wanted to scoff, then she stopped. At least you know you went too far, she muttered, eyes wet. You did not just embarrass me, you ripped something private away. Every word landed heavy, and I made myself take all of them. I am not going to defend what I did, I said slowly. I checked her phone, I posted online, I outed you screaming. I turned my fear into a weapon and aimed it straight at you. My voice shook on that last part and I let it. She blinked hard, lashes clumped with tears she refused to drop. You used the worst part of my secret to win an argument. Her fingers tightened so much the cup actually squeaked on the table. I replay that moment every night and I still feel sick. I wanted to say I replayed it too, but I shut up. That therapist's voice rang in my head like a warning bell. Listen more than you argue, do not fix her feelings. So I just nodded and let the shame sit there between us. After a long stretch, she took a shaky breath and leaned back. Do you want to know what was actually going on? She asked. I almost jumped at the chance and then forced myself calmer. Only if you feel ready to tell me, I answered for once. She stared at the table like the story was written there somewhere. I told your girlfriend I liked women months before you figured it out. That sentence hit like a slap and an answer at the same time. She was the first person in this house I trusted with it. My throat tightened because I had never given her that space. I did not hide that from you to hurt you, she continued. I hid it because I did not trust you not to make it about yourself. That one hurt more than any insult she could have thrown at me. We started texting more because I was freaking out about someone. She glanced up, checking to see if I would interrupt or explode. I forced my hands flat on my knees and stayed quiet. It was a girl from my class, not your girlfriend, never her. She went on before I could latch onto the little defensive part. I freeze when I like somebody, she said, laughing once without humor. I forget how to talk or even stand without looking weird. Her fingers mimed that stiff awkwardness and I recognized it suddenly. Your girlfriend noticed and offered to help me practice, she explained. How to flirt, how to handle compliments, how to know. D shut down. The memories shifted in my mind as she spoke, lining up differently. The laughing on the couch, the whispering, the weird dramatic poses. The bed thing you saw first was us copying some dumb clip, she said. One of those couples trends, but we changed it to joke around. She grimaced when she said it, like she could see how it looked. I was sitting on her because I was trying not to panic. I remembered her heavy breathing that night and felt my stomach twist. She was talking me through asking out the girl I liked, she added. Every time I tried the lines on you, I nearly passed out. She rolled her eyes at herself, then wiped under them quickly. So we did it with someone I felt safe around, she said quietly. Someone who already knew I liked women and would not judge it. She shrugged one shoulder, the movement small and embarrassed. I did not think my brother would turn it into a cheating scandal. A part of me wanted to yell that it still looked bad. But the bigger part, the one that had sat in therapy, knew better. You two deleted messages to keep that secret, I guess slowly. To keep my suspicion from blowing everything up before you were ready. She nodded once, jaw clenched, eyes fixed on her knuckles. I asked her to clear anything that mentioned the girl I liked. She swallowed hard, voice dropping almost to a whisper. I wanted to tell Dad myself in my own words when I felt strong enough. That one burned through me because I stole it from her. I took something that should have been a slow, careful moment. I turned it into a screaming match with an audience and zero consent. Realizing that fully made my stomach flip over all over again. You kept talking about me online like I was a plot twist, she said. I saw your post, Nate. I knew it was you the second I read it. The jokes, the details, the way you painted her and me. She shook her head, looking disgusted and just tired. I was scared and jealous, I said, voice almost gone. It does not excuse anything, but it is the truth. I let out a breath I had been holding since we sat down. If I could undo that night, I would do it in a heartbeat. She snorted softly, not amused, but less icy than before. You cannot undo it, but you can stop pretending you were right. She finally held my gaze without flinching, and that hurt more. You were not protecting me or her, you were protecting your own ego. No lie, that line hit dead center and stayed there. In my head back then, I was the betrayed one, the victim. Now, sitting across from her, I just looked like the person who hurt everyone. Including the girl I swore I loved and the sister I was supposed to protect. How is she? I asked quietly, meaning my ex, not the crush. My sister studied me, checking if the question was safe to answer. She moved out a week after everything blew up, she said. She blocked you, but she sent me one last message later. My chest tightened again, but I did not push her for details. Instead, I waited and watched her weigh whether I deserved to hear it. She said she cared about you, but she could not stay with someone who used people like evidence. Her voice gentled a little as she repeated the words. Fair, I muttered, because arguing with that would be insane. I pictured my ex packing her stuff while I paced the hallway. I saw myself pointing and shouting and felt my face heat up again. Back then I thought I was fighting for us, but I was fighting myself. Are you still talking to her? I asked, almost afraid of yes. My sister shook her head slowly and traced a circle on the table. We checked in a few times, then gave each other space, she said. She told me to focus on my own life and not your drama. That stung more than I expected because she was absolutely right. I had turned my panic into this huge storm that sucked everyone in. Now I was sitting in the quiet after, trying to count who was left. It was basically me, my therapist, and this shaky coffee with my sister. I cleared my throat and forced myself to stop wallowing out loud. Is there anything I can do now that actually helps you? I asked. Not to fix it fast, not to make myself feel better, just help. She blinked, surprised, like she did not expect that question at all. Keep going to therapy, she answered after a long pause. Stop writing about us online like we are characters in your show. She took a breath that sounded like it hurt on the way out. And when I introduce you to someone I am seeing, do not make it about you. Someone you are seeing, I repeated, latching onto that new piece. Her cheeks flushed and she rolled her eyes toward the window. Yeah, she admitted, lips twitching despite everything between us. The girl from class finally agreed to go out with me. I felt something loosen in my chest that had been locked for months. Did the practice flirting actually help? I asked, trying to keep it light. That earned me the first real smile I had seen from her in ages. A little, she said, though your meltdown almost scared her off forever. We both laughed then, not because it was funny, but because we were exhausted. The sound still had a break in it, like the crack in a wall. It was not a full fix, not even close, just a start. I knew there would be more hard talks after this coffee ended. Later that night, I opened the same forum and stared at my old post. I did not delete it, I added a long update underneath. I wrote that I had spied, accused, outed, and lost more than I protected. I told them my sister liked women but not my ex, and that the problem had mostly been me. The replies came fast again, but I read them differently this time. Some people roasted me, some gave cautious credit for owning it. One person wrote, "Redemption is not about being forgiven, it is about changing." That line stuck and I screenshotted it before closing the page. A few weeks later, my sister asked if I wanted to meet her girlfriend. We sat at another small table, 3 coffees between us, hands restless. I watched them share glances that were actually mutual, not one-sided and frantic. This time I did not feel replaced, just grateful I was invited. I am not going to lie and pretend everything is perfect now. I still flinch when my phone vibrates with unknown numbers or comments. I still wake up hearing my own voice yelling things I regret. But I am learning to pause, to listen, to stop turning fear into proof. That is why I am telling this whole story here, all of it. Not to make anyone pick sides, not to hunt for validation this time. Mostly to put a line under the version where I was only the victim. Because the truth is simple and heavy, I thought my sister was chasing my girlfriend, and instead I pushed them both away.